Hello world. At the moment I'm recovering from an alien virus. My throat is in pain, and it hurts to speak. Therefore, I'm using a Terminator to speak for me. Hope you still enjoy the video. First things first, House of the Dragon is awesome. It does a lot more good than bad, and overall, I would rate Season 1, without having seen the last episode, around an 8 or a 7 out of 10. That said, Episode 9, The Green Council, was disappointing, and I'm not just talking about the last scene where Princess Rhaenys could have ended the war before it even begun. The entire episode was lackluster. So, let's talk about why I consider Episode 9 to be the worst episode of the show, so far. Criston Cole kills Lord Beesbury. And it looks bad. Not in, Cole just killed again, way. I mean from an acting and directing standpoint. This doesn't look like Cole is doing anything more than putting his hands on this guy's shoulders. Beesbury is the one that throws himself at the table.
Well, I have no part.
My time has come.
I mean, it's funny how bad this looks. Cole is barely touching him. This guy is the one that does most of the work. I'm guessing that's why the editor made an abrupt cut to show Beesbury dead on the table. They didn't want people lingering too much on the way this action scene is presented. And the cut is so abrupt, that even Criston Cole doesn't seem to realize what just happened. It's a very rough and clumsy way to open the episode. It's this scene that left me concerned for what would happen next. And right away we have another red flag.
The door remains shut until we finish our business.
A few minutes later.
I recognize no authority but the king's. I have no place here.
Why does nobody stop him? He just refused to assassinate Rhaenyra. Does Otto not think the Lord Commander could join Rhaenyra's side? Why isn't he telling Criston Cole to stop him? Did Otto forgot about something? This is so fucking dumb. Why even bother to have a line of dialogue about the importance of not letting anyone, besides the people loyal to you, know what you are up to? If you are just gonna let people walk away immediately afterwards. A good portion of this episode is about finding out who could still be loyal to Rhaenyra, and either kill them, take them hostage, or make them bend the knee. But this guy is allowed to walk away. Why? They don't even try to stop him or mention him as a possible character to tell Rhaenyra about what they are up to. Once he's off screen, it's like he ceased to exist. It's frustrating. Next, we have Otto sending the twins after Aegon while Queen Alicent sends Cole and Aemond. And this race, who can find Aegon first, is needed because I don't know, they couldn't think of something more interesting to write. It seems that the point of this competition is that Alicent thinks Otto will influence Aegon and convince him to have Rhaenyra killed, something Alicent is very much against. But the thing is, why does Otto need to convince Aegon in the first place? Didn't he, just moments ago, ask someone else to assassinate the princess? Or is Otto taking what this guy said seriously and wants to crown Aegon as soon as possible so he can repeat his orders to the Lord Commander and see if he follows them this time now that there is a king? Why doesn't Otto just hire some sellswords, or have his Hightower soldiers, go and kill Rhaenyra? This is such weak premise to have an episode build around it. It's like if in Indiana Jones 5, the object they are trying to find is just a pen with nothing supernatural or alien about it. Just a regular pen. But in that case, you could at least have an entertaining adventure movie ahead of you. While here, that doesn't happen. Unless, of course, you count out-of-place child gladiator sequences filled with commentary from the twin guards about how Aegon is not fit to rule, something this show has already told us multiple times before, and whatever this scene was supposed to be, as entertainment. The only good thing to come out of this sequence is that we learn more about Aemond and how he wants the throne. It's a bit lame that the character himself has to tell us that instead of showing it through actions of his own, but it's better than anything else this sequence has to offer. Her accent is terrible. She needs to stop. I didn't hate her in episode 2, but maybe that was because Matt Smith's charisma blocked her accent from my mind. I don't remember. All I know is that this scene is the definition of cringe. It makes me have Vietnam flashbacks of the kissing scene from Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and that's not something you want your movie or TV show to be compared to. Accent aside, this scene is ridiculous. What is her character even trying to achieve? The White Worm basically tells Otto what he wants to know, where Aegon is, in exchange for money, and the promise that Otto is going to close down the child arenas? And she ends her speech by saying how easy it would have been for her to have Aegon killed, threatening one of the most powerful people in the city, and then immediately losing your only leverage. The location of Prince Aegon isn't just stupid, it's fucking mental. I'm surprised Otto didn't have her killed or arrested on the spot. I guess he still needs to confirm the location she gave him is accurate, but still, why is this character so dumb? What's the logic in threading the hand of the king, the grandfather of the future king? This scene is similar to when Littlefinger implicitly tells Cersei that he knows about her and Jaime, but there are key differences. For starters, that scene has a phenomenal climax, and Littlefinger didn't flat out threaten to tell the world about their affair. He's not that stupid. The White Worm seems to be that stupid. This is someone, a peasant, not associate with the government, openly boasting about how easy it would have been to kill one of the members of the royal family. Even if Otto has worked with her in the past, at what point does he consider her to be a liability? At the very least, this threat needed to raise some red flags in his mind. The next moment that stands out as egregious is the fighting between one of the twins and Kristen Cole. This entire sequence feels wrong, and it's a combination of everything: directing, editing, cinematography. It's all fucked. The background buildings look fake. All the characters look like they have green screen behind them. The amount of cuts needed to show this fight scene is absurd. Was it really necessary to cut away so much? Isn't this supposed to be a big, wide-shot action set piece? Why not film it the same way the fighting between Ned Stark and Arthur Dayne was done, back in Game of Thrones Season 6? The choreography is far from realistic, but you can at least see what's happening. There isn't a cut every time one of the characters swings a sword or moves around. Here, it's hard to understand what is going on. You don't see who is winning, until one of the cuts shows Cole disarming his opponent. Visually, this is a mess. Worse still is the tone. Cole comes off like a fucking psychopath, smiling and happy to have an opportunity to kill this guy. But then the fight cuts away and we have what looks to be Aegon being tickled by his brother. It's so absurd I started laughing. That's how silly this scene comes off. In the end, Cole doesn't kill the other guy and Aegon is taken to the Queen. Again, this adventure about who can find Aegon first is ridiculous in theory and very poorly translated onto the screen. Blatant exposition about why Aegon would suck as a king, bad accent, characters making dumb power plays, and poorly put together action scenes. This is most of the episode and the reason why I consider it to be so bad. Before I talk about the Dragon Pit scene, let me just comment something about Alicent. Why was she so surprised that the small council had been planning to crown Aegon even before she told them anything? The previous episodes established that Alicent has been trying to prepare Aegon to be king. She even married him to his sister so he can have pure-blooded Targaryen children, therefore having a stronger claim to the throne. Why is she acting innocent? She knows her father wanted Aegon as the heir since episode 3. And she herself has been working to fulfilling that plan. In the very last episode we see Alicent scheming about putting this guy as the heir of Driftmark. What is up with this innocent act all of a sudden? Are you telling me that the dinner scene was sincere, and all the character development Alicent had done until that point was thrown out the window so she could appear sympathetic in this one episode? The character writing in House of the Dragon leaves a lot to be desired at times. I hope they don't fuck up Daemon and Rhaenyra moving forward. They did a great job with Viserys, however, so I'm hoping that this inconsistency with Alicent's character is just a minor misstep in the long term. So, let's talk about the Rhaenys scene. And if I'm being honest, this episode had so many mistakes that I stopped caring and just enjoyed whatever was left. Mostly, the actor that plays Aegon did a fantastic job. He was the standout. He really came off like someone with low self-esteem, someone who feels worthless as a person, and his development into a Homelander type of character, combined with how well his coronation sequence was put together, makes him look pretty badass. And then this happens. Princess Rhaenys escapes with help from one of the twins, who tells her that they can't get to her dragon, because the Greens will be expecting that. Why? Why would the Greens be expecting Princess Rhaenys to go to her dragon when Princess Rhaenys is locked in a room in the Red Keep? It doesn't make sense, but at least, now we know it's not going to be easy for the princess to reach her dragon and escape, because the Greens are expecting the princess to go to her dragon. But the thing is, it is easy.
It's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
The Greens even help her by making the coronation take place in the dragon pit, forcing a bunch of peasants to witness the ascension of Aegon II and allowing the princess to reach her dragon like it's no big deal. Great job with security, Otto. So, Rhaenys and her dragon burst from beneath the dragon pit, killing a bunch of people along the way, and instead of ending the war before it begins, Rhaenys decides to have her dragon bark at the Greens and fucks off afterwards. There are a number problems with this scene. It's not just that this makes Rhaenys look bad, everyone looks bad. Why aren't the guards doing anything useful? Aren't there archers that can try and attack the dragon? Or distract it so it doesn't go after the king? At the very least, you should be trying to get the king out of the way. Take him to some underground bunker or something. Doing anything would be better than standing there, waiting to be burned alive. This reminds me of Jon in The Long Night. Remember when he had that stare face down with the zombie dragon? That's the one. Good times. Why were the guards closing the doors? Were they freaking out and decided it would be better to close the dragon pit, allowing this random dragon to rampage and massacre the hundreds of people inside the building, including the royal family? Is this how the rest of the Civil War is going to play out? Just a bunch of morons trying to outdo each other and see who can do the stupidest thing. There's so much incompetence going on in this episode. It's kind of amazing. Next, are the visual effects. I'm just gonna say it. This looks bad. It looks fake. It reminds me of the MCU as it is nowadays. I'm sick of dust and smoke covering the screen every time a dragon shows up. I know it's to hide the imperfections of the CGI. It still looks like bad CGI. It doesn't blend in with the rest of the environment. Once the dragon starts moving his head and walking towards the Greens, it doesn't look as out of place as everything before. But then the dragon loses all sense of weight and flies out of the dragon pit like he's a cartoon character. I hope they give their VFX artists more time to work on the next seasons. Otherwise, the CGI dragon battles are not going to age well. Should Rhaenys have used dragon fire to kill the Greens? Yes, absolutely. The reason she doesn't, according to the show's creators, is because Alicent is a mother or something dumb like that.
Probably doesn't want to be responsible for doing that to another mother, and it's a complex choice and one that...
Honestly, the fans of the episode give much better excuses. Like Rhaenys doesn't want to be a kinslayer, someone who murders members of her own family. That is a much better excuse than Alicent being a mother. How many mothers did Rhaenys killed when her dragon appeared? I'm not even going to talk about the "civilians don't count" comment the writer of the episode has put out there. It's too stupid to take seriously. But let's talk about why Rhaenys should have killed the Greens. What happens afterwards? She flees King's Landing and goes to Rhaenyra. There she can decide what to do. She doesn't have to tell her that it was her who killed the Greens. In fact, all she has to tell them is that the king is dead, and Rhaenyra needs to come to King's Landing right away. There are no iPhones filming the incident at the dragon pit. And even if some peasants remember a red dragon flying away, who the fuck is going to confirm that it was Rhaenys? It could have been Prince Daemon with Caraxes. It could have even been a different dragon that was kept within the dragon pit. This entire incident could have been considered some fucked up accident, like the tragedy at Summerhall. History is written by the winners after all. What Rhaenys is doing here is putting herself and her granddaughters in future danger. She has known since episode 5 that Rhaenyra's claim will be challenged because Aegon exists, and now she knows the Greens are usurping the crown. The civil war has already started. This is a nice, moral move on her part. She has the high ground. but it also makes her character come off so fucking dumb. She could have ended everything and saved thousands of lives, but instead she chose to bark. This entire sequence is the definition of spectacle for spectacle's sake. You could have ended the episode with Aegon receiving applauses, then have a minor earthquake and cut to Princess Rhaenys flying away. Or, if you still wanted Rhaenys to make a grand entrance, you could have had archers attacking the princess once the dragon showed up. That way she's more concerned with getting out of the dragon pit than killing the Greens. Similar to Daemon in episode 3. There are so many different ways this scene could have been played out. It's sad that this ends with a bark. As you can see, there's a lot wrong with this episode besides the final scene. It's funny most people are just bitching about the ending, when I would argue that the ending is not that different from the rest of the episode. The only major difference is that this scene is a crowd pleaser. You know what else was a crowd pleaser? Dany saving Jon and the others from the White Walkers in Season 7, and Arya killing the Night King. Those scenes were also entertaining schlock, but still schlock. They made very little narrative sense. I forgot to talk about the foot scene with Larys and Alicent. Is HBO trying to get Quentin Tarantino to sponsor this show or something? Is that the goal with this scene, or did they just wanted the creepy character who acts creepy to act ever creepier in this episode? It felt like a waste of runtime, to be honest. I would rather have had more time with Aegon or Rhaenys, but I guess this scene was of vital importance for the plot, somehow. I still love this show, and I can't wait to watch the finale. But this episode sucked. It left such a bitter aftertaste, that I'm even making a YouTube video after 7 months of not doing anything. That's how disappointing this was. It got me back to work.
Anyway, see you next time.